Oh, hi. Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Fico here in Coral Springs, Florida, Family Chiropractic Center. And I actually didn't spend the night here, although sometimes it does seem like I live here in my office. But what we're going to be talking about is morning stretches. So let's go through a couple of stretches that are really effective for starting out for a healthy and productive day. When you wake up, one of the worst things you can do is just spring out of bed. Like any other athlete, you have to warm up for your day. So let's start with a very constructive warm-up. The first one is, I call making a number 4, which is bringing your leg in and gently stretching it out. While you do this, you're going to counter stretch by trying to keep this buttock flat, not allowing it to lift up. Nice, easy stretch. Never bounce when you are stretching. Take everything nice and easy and slow. From this position, we're then going to go to a tuck, pulling up as gently, but as far as you can, and breathe, breathe, breathe. Feels so good. And then to the opposite shoulder. Very nice. And of course, as any exercise, we repeat on both sides to here, and of course the opposite shoulder. Now that we've stretched that, we're going to bring both knees up. Give yourself a big hug, you deserve it. And then gently tip. Once again, not lifting the buttocks, from side to side. Good. Last but not least is what I call the froggy. Put both soles together. Relax your legs out and breathe. And as you breathe and relax, you're going to feel your pelvis open. The legs will begin to move a little further. Good. And then last but not least is our famous child's pose. So now we're going to not sit straight up, but roll, because you're getting up early in the morning. First thing you're going to do is roll to your side. Never sit straight up right away. While we sleep, the facets of our joints of our back and our pelvis become sometimes a little bit clogged, I would say, with synovial fluid. So we want to squeeze some of that out. If you can hang your feet off the edge of your bed, terrific. If not, that's fine too, but this is the best position you can be in. And we're going to slowly stretch back, opening up the facets of the lumbar joints here. I almost want to feel as if I'm lowering the waistband of my pants by stretching my low back. Feels really good. And when you get to your utmost point, breathe. Come up slowly. Once again, we're going to do our famous table and cat back. Table and cat back. And speaking of the table and cat back, one of the things that you can also use in these exercises is when you're doing your stretches on your back, I can go from table to cat by rocking my pelvis, which gives an extra little something to the exercise and helps push some of that fluid out of the joints that's accumulated while we've been sleeping during the night. Now we're ready to start our day by rolling out of bed, and it's off to the races. Welcome to our strength and conditioning room. Today we're going to be discussing the proper mechanics of a squat. Squat is the basis of many exercises. However, when I watch people working out, people in the gym, people even here, I notice that their technique is improper, and doing an improper squat can injure you. So let's talk about proper positioning. When you squat, it is important to transfer the weight to your heels. Do not lean forward onto your toes, because that can injure your knees, put you off balance also. So we have to really be conscious of taking our buttocks, pressing them back, while we transfer our weight with our hands forward. So as I press down, I'm reaching outward, really sticking my buttocks back, as if I'm sitting in a big chair. And at the base of my squat, I should be able to lift up my toes. If you can't lift your toes, you're leaning too far forward. Very important to be able to do that. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the squat and how we can actually modify it for those that can't get as low, or also make it even more powerful for those who are good athletes. One of the things you can do with your squat, as we've discussed before, is not go quite as low, and you can use a chair even to just sit up and down. So I'm going to show one modification with this chair. I'm going to demonstrate to you how we can actually modify the squat. So if you have trouble getting into the squat position, if you have trouble being seated in a chair without dropping those last few inches, what you're simply going to do is utilize the armrests, Remember, once again, your weight is on your heels, not your toes, so you've got to be able to lift your toes up, stick your rear end out hard, go down, use your arms if you need to support, and then the trick is slowly coming back up, use those quads, engage those quads. That's what the basis of this exercise is the quads and the pelvic floor. Once again, down, use your arms if you need to, and come back up. You should be able to work up to the point where you don't need the arms in order to assist, and then you're going to reach forward, sticking out your bottom hard, buttocks hard, and coming back up. And eventually build up to the point where you will not need the chair anymore, and that's very important. Sitting is now being referred to as the new smoking in terms of harming health. Those of us who have to sit for long periods of time at work or whatever responsibilities we may have during the day can actually counteract some of those problems caused by sitting. If you can't get up from your chair and walk around gracefully because you may be in a meeting or a setting where it's not a good thing, there's a couple things you can do while you're actually seated. One of them is resettle yourself, tighten your buttocks, squeeze, 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 and release. And as you're doing this, you're also going to squeeze your knees together, squeeze, 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 and release. You notice I'm rising up slowly, but I'm not doing anything unusual in terms of movement. Also, when you sit, once again, we've discussed this before in some of my other videos, but it's very, very important to make sure that the line of pitch between your hip and your knee is downward. You don't want to sit in a position where your knees are higher than your buttocks. That's very injurious to the pelvic floor, also to the integrity of the low back. So, keeping ourselves on the edge of the chair is important, and once again, we're going to squeeze and release. If you're sitting at a table at a board meeting, you can also lift a leg, move your foot, and you're going to feel actually action in your quads here. The quads are what maintain the integrity of our knee joints, so it's very important to keep these strong. We can do this side also, and we also can take the option of doing both sides. Just be careful not to bump the person sitting next to you. Down. Now, if you can get up from your chair, we can actually use the chair to aid us. Sitting for long periods of time can also impede your hip flexor in terms of flexibility, hip flexor muscles. So a nice stretch that we can use, holding onto the chair for balance, is put one foot in front of the other, put the other one directly behind the knee, and you're going to rock it forward and then press your hip on that side, the lead foot out. So I'm going to take my right foot in front, my right hip is going to press out, and I'm feeling a stretch all through here. We can repeat that on the other side. Left foot is now front, right foot behind. Press it with my, as I move forward, I'm going to press with my hip leading on the left side, and I'm getting a really nice stretch in there. Good. Another thing that we can do with this chair when we stand up is work a little bit on our balance. You can challenge yourself by trying not to hold on, but one thing we can do is lift the leg, bring it down, grab the chair as much as you may need or not need, either way, doesn't matter. And then once you're up at the top of your lift, move your leg in and out. Let's do the other side. In and out. I have an issue many times watching people work with bar or a chair because they tend to get into a swinging motion with their legs when they're doing their exercises. Your up should be as the same pace as your down. In other words, if I'm going to lift a leg, I don't let it drop back down. It's up slow, hold, bring it down slow. If I'm lifting the leg up, it's up slow, don't let it drop, down slow. Okay, you want both the positive and the negative movement to be the same pace. So you have a nice isometric contraction going on here. Now, many people also complain of pelvic pain. We're going to talk about an exercise that will help improve that. This is a yoga ring. You don't need to run out and purchase one. It's nice to have, but we can use other things besides this. It's convenient for me, so I'm using it for this particular exercise. But a rolled up pillow, exercise mat rolled up, any of those things that offer any kind of resistance to squeezing will do just as well. So sitting in the chair, making sure that my angle from my hip to my knee is downward, I'm going to take the ring and I'm going to put it between my thighs and I'm going to hold it in. And as I'm doing this, I'm squeezing my buttocks also, and I'm tightening my back. And I'm squeezing, 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 and don't let go all of a sudden. Go apart nice and easy. Breathe, relax, and once again, tighten it up. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Hold, hold, hold. Tighten everything, tight, tight. And slowly release it. You may hear an audible click. Don't panic, you're not breaking anything. That's just simply the pubic symphysis, which is that bone right in the middle of the pelvis and right in front of the pubic bone, is sometimes a little misaligned. And this muscular motion that we're doing actually naturally realigns it. That's that little click that you're hearing. Contrary to popular belief, bones don't crunch. It's not the bone you're hearing. It's the release of gas in the synovium. When the joint space is opened up, there's an equalization of pressure, and that's the noise that you're hearing. So no, we don't crunch bones. It's a myth. We can do side bending while seated in a chair. Simply what you're going to do is keep your body straight, toes straight ahead. If you have an armrest, fine. If not, you can hold on to the chair seat. But you're going to keep your body in a straight line this way, no twisting or turning. Just simply lean to the side. Come back up. Lean to the other side. Come back up. If you notice that there's a marked difference between how low you can go on the right to the left, if there's a difference between the two sides bilaterally, there's probably something going on in your back that needs to be addressed. So that needs to be addressed by a professional. You should be able to go evenly on both sides. If not, something's going on mechanically in your back that needs to be addressed. Another thing that you can do is seated in your chair, put legs out, and do little, for you ballet dancers, entrechat, or just twiddlies. You can call them anything you want, but it's good for you. And you can also scissor. Once again, as you scissor, you're going to be feeling this in your quads. Quads, once again, are the integrity of the knee joint. This is what holds your knee in joint. Good exercise. One other one that we have to do cautiously, because I've seen people twisting their backs vigorously, not good, because that jams the facets. What we can do, however, is take a gentle stretch and hold from side to side. No movements should ever be done ballistically when stretching. All that simply does is tear tissue and injure. Here's a really good Achilles tendon stretch. Put your lead foot in front, lean back on it, step back with the other leg, keeping your front foot knee bent, but not over the front of your toes. Keep it back so your weight is on your heel, and take that back leg and extend that heel down, and you're going to feel the stretch in your calf. Real important, especially if you tend to wear heels during the day. That tendon becomes short and the calf muscle becomes a little bit more spastic sometimes. This is a wonderful, wonderful stretch that everybody should be doing. And of course, we're going to switch and go to the other side. Good. To take it to the next level, you can actually be in the squat, touch down and come up. Touch down slowly. Once again, we're not ballistically stretching. We're easing into the stretch. And come back up. And that can be repeated on both sides also. Now we're going to do some open and shut exercises for the integrity of the gluteal muscles. And you're going to bend your knee, and you're going to open the hip joint and close it. Taking your time, once again, when we're working with a positive movement and a negative movement, the negative is always the same speed as the positive. You can pause at the top if you'd like, but come down slowly just as you lifted. And you're going to begin to feel this in your low back and buttocks. This is a real important one for singers. Remember, we breathe with our whole body. Breath is life. And you're going to repeat on the other side. Once again, if you notice a discrepancy in how high You could go on either side. There might be something going on in the actual mechanics of your low back, and that does need to be addressed. It's time for pizza lifts. We're going to get onto all fours. Now, I prefer actually, if you can, to please come to your elbows, which saves the low back. And we call it pizza lift because you're going to balance a pizza on the flat of your foot. Not a real one, an imaginary one, of course. And we're going to lift and lift and lift. Here's another great hip flexor stretch. You're kneeling on the mat, knees slightly apart, maybe shoulder width or a little bit larger, a little bit wider. And you're going to take your pelvis and lead through with your pelvis, push, push, push. And you're going to feel a tremendous stretch through all your quads into the hip. And then remember, nothing quick. We're going to slowly recede back. Once again, press it forward. And slowly recede back. And this time we're going to recede back all the way into a wide child's pose. And we're going to come back up again, keeping the width and even wider than before. Press it through hard. Child's pose again. Back up slow. Press, press, press back. Hips lead through. And boy, this is an all-body stretch. It feels really great. It's a good one. Sometimes it's tough for us to get to the gym or even put aside time to exercise during the day. Did you know that using the simple exercise, 4 minutes worth, 3 or 4 times daily will give you the equivalent of an hour in the gym? And it creates what we call a nitric oxide dump. If you read about nitric oxide, it's very, very important for maintaining youth, vitality, and also for the cardiovascular system. So the first movement in this exercise is the good old squat. We've talked about this before. When we squat, legs shoulder width apart, toes pointing straight ahead. Remember to keep the weight on your heels. Counterbalance by reaching forward. If you can't get into a full squat, that's fine. Do what you can, even if it's just a tiny squat. We're still going to get the benefit out of it. That's movement number 1. Movement number 2. Remember the monkey dance, the monkey? We're going to do the monkey, but you don't have to use your legs, just your arms. And we're going to do that 10 times. The next simple movement that we have is the same way that we do jumping jacks, except you're going to reach to the top, bump at the top, bump at the bottom, bump at the top, in front of the body here, and back the body here. So in front of the body and back the head. And as you do this in back of the head, squeeze together your shoulder blades. Great for the posture, great for the alignment, okay? Then the last but not least, I want to show you one modification. For those with any kind of shoulder issues, rotator cuff injury, if you can't reach straight up, what you're simply going to do is bring your hands in, reach to the top, and come back down. So it would be in, reach to the top. Even people with shoulder problems can do this. So that'll be your substitute exercise if you have existing shoulder problems. The last but not least movement is you're going to reach up, and then with isometric contraction, pull down. So you're making a muscle as you pull down. Make those biceps pop out. There you go. So let's put it all together. We're going to do one set, 10 movements of each. You're with me? Here we go. Shoulder width apart, toes straight ahead. Keep your technique clean. Don't throw your body through space. Controlled movements with isometric contraction. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Jumping jack arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pull down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We would repeat that 3 times, that cycle 3 times. So once again, just to clarify, on the nitric oxide release, you're going to do 10 movements of each exercise: the squat, the monkey arms, the jumping jack arms, and the pull downs, each 10 times. Then you repeat that cycle 3 times. So you'll do 3 circuits of 10 movements for each exercise. So then, I want to give you a couple modifications. We talked about the one with the bad shoulders, instead of doing the jumping jack arms. What we also want to do is modify our squat both ways. Tiny squat if you can't do it, or if you're a good athlete, squat and jump. You have that option. You can even add it to a couple if you don't want to do the full 10 reps with the jump. 2 or 3 maybe, 4 or 5, build up to the complete 10. Remember, when you first start this exercise, if you can't get through the 3 cycles and you just get through 1 round, it's still a benefit. Do the 1 round 4 times daily. You'll build up to it. The other option you have is you can also take hand weights. Light hand weights are heavy depending upon how athletic you are, and do the movements with hand weights. So this video is based on the presentation that I will be giving at the National Pastoral Musicians Conference in Baltimore, Maryland, starting this Monday, July 8th, or July 9th actually, and I'm really excited to be seeing all of you there. I hope you take this video, share it with others. Staying healthy, staying strong, staying happy, those are important things in life. Take care.